Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, here, of course, with some more geography. Now, Senegal. Yeah, you guys are awesome. I have no clue anything about you. Actually do know that you're from Africa. I can just tell by the flag. Uh, Colors, very similar to. But anyways, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button below, and we're gonna get right into Senegal to see what you guys have to offer. I know you're not gonna disappoint. All right. And now.
All right, back in Africa, this time Senegal. For those of you that don't know, during French colonial times in Africa, it was kind of like.
Okay, so Ivory Coast, House of Cocoa production. Good. All right, Molly, I want to report on the Azawad region. Togo, you just do you. Oh, hey, Senegal.
Hey.
Okay, I'm not going to pick favorites, but you're the capital and you're in charge. Now here's a bunch of money.
Oh,
wait, come back. I need you to look good for me.
Yeah, and then after independence, it was like, Africa will rise again! Senegal is free. Yeah, it's interesting because they kind of stayed close even after the.
After the what?
It's time to learn geography. No!
Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. So Senegal, it's kind of like a country of class and prestige. I guess you could kind of say Senegal is kind of like the sugar mama matriarch of West Africa. And speaking of sugar, you can get Geography Now mugs with coffee and sugar mixed in with them at geographynow.com with all the other Geography Now mugs. It's like the only yellow shirt I have. Actually, I found another one. Whoop-de-doo. Anyway, go to geographynow.com to get Geography Now merch if you want. It's not selling out if it's my brand. Anyway, very quickly, this episode was filmed during COVID-19 pandemic times, so obviously everything will be filmed in my office, and all the guest hosts and guest stars will be filming at separate time slots, so we're not all crammed together. That being said, let's explain more in the next segment, the...
Local geography.
Alright, so if you look at Senegal on the map, you'll see that its location kind of played a huge role in what would become the crossroads of domestic African inland empires, followed by centuries of intercontinental interaction. All because Senegal is kind of like the door to Africa. First of all, the country lies in West Africa, and in fact, the westernmost point of continental Africa lies in Senegal too. The Pointe des Almides on the Cap Vert Peninsula, which juts into the Atlantic Ocean. This little extension gave Senegal a geographic advantage, as not only as a port for shipping, but as a final destination for various trans-Saharan trade routes that would end here in both ancient and modern times. The country is surrounded by 4 other countries: Mauritania, Mali, Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau. However, remember, the entire country also surrounds the small, narrow nation of the Gambia from the coast to about 2/3 inland, effectively making the country look like a giant Pac-Man. The northern boundary with Mauritania is bordered by the Senegal River, which cuts off at the town of Balou and follows the Falémé River branch for a while, and then from there a series of dry riverbeds and arbitrary drawn lines make up the remainder of the boundaries. The country is divided into 14 regions, with about 70% of the population living on the west side, especially along the coasts, with the capital and largest city, Dakar, located on the Cap Vert Peninsula. The largest and busiest airport.
If that wasn't so big, I would swear, like, at first glance, that was like man-made, that peninsula there. But yeah, it's not man-made; it's natural. So that's pretty crazy. It just seems so unnatural.
Coasts, with the capital and largest city, Dakar, located on the Cap Vert Peninsula. The largest and busiest airport is Blaise Diagne International, which was built because the former busiest airport, Leopold Sédar Senghor International, was too small. From there are about 20 other smaller regional airports and airstrips, but the only ones with regular scheduled service would be Cap Skirring and Ziguinchor in the south part of the country. The second largest city outside the Dakar metropolitan area would be Touba in the Diourbel region, just east of Dakar. Keep in mind though, over half of the population are rural and live in small villages spread throughout the nation. The country has 8 main ports on their coasts, and the biggest and busiest one that contributes to about 90% of the entire country's trade being the port of Dakar. The country has 2 main rail lines operated by the national company Transrail, one that goes north from Dakar to St. Louis, and the other that goes west to east into Mali at the town of Kidira and extends further into the country of Niger. Finally, keep in mind, during French colonial times, St. Louis actually used to be not only the capital of Senegal for over 200 years, but also the capital of the entire French West African colony from 18 1895 to 1902. Later, Dakar was made the colony capital until independence in 1960. It's important to note that yes, Dakar was one of the main ports of transport for the Atlantic slave trade, and today many Africans in diaspora come to Gorée Island, which is where many of the enslaved people were sold and transferred. It's also important to note that right after independence, they also kind of had a few joint spin-offs with other nations. It was kind of like,
let's become one country called the Mali Federation.
Yeah! That was not a good idea.
Bad idea.
and then in the 80s, it was like,
You know, Gambia, you and I are culturally very similar, and I've been surrounding you. Why don't we just give it a shot?
Sure.
All right. Ugh.
We are done.
in the end, you can't really add anything to Senegal. It's just Senegal. Anyway, if you decide to visit this country, some of the top notable sites you might want to check out include the Ifon African Arts Museum, the Gate of No Return.
They did point out. I was like, I wonder if you're going to point out because with that the peninsula and being a big I guess shipping spot. I was wondering if they're going to bring up slavery and stuff like that because it seems pretty obvious that they'd probably be shipped from theirs, but they did. So I'm just curious if they would or not. They tell you everything on this channel. It's pretty cool, good and bad. Anyways, back to the show.
Top notable sites you might want to check out include the Ifon African Arts Museum, the Gate of No Return on the Slave House of Gorée Island, the Women's Museum, Cap Manuel's Abandoned Bunker, the Museum of Black Civilizations, the Senegal Stone Circles, the Massalikul Jinan Mosque,
cool.
the Grand Mosque of Touba, the Grand Mosque of Dakar, the Mosque.
I'm sorry, but mosques, like every time I see a mosque, I'm not a religious person, but the mosques, they look cool. Like the buildings are always like fancy and like legit, like I don't know, man, it just look very cool looking. What do you guys think? Because I guess that's kind of like every religion, because churches, they always look pretty cool too, but like I guess like churches are more spiky, I guess, and mosques are more round, you know what I'm saying? But they always look pretty fancy and cool. But yeah.
The Massalikul Jinan Mosque, the Grand Mosque of Touba, the Grand Mosque of Dakar, the Mosque of Divinity, and probably the most notable landmark, the African Renaissance Monument, the largest statue in Africa at 52 meters tall, symbolizing defiance, tradition, and the future of the country with prosperity.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna sneeze first. 1 second. Yes. Sorry, excuse me. But yes, at first, when I first glanced at this, I was like, "Is this real?" And I was trying to gauge how big it was. I was looking for people around it, and I was looking at the road. Like, is this like at a weird angle? Because I was, because of steps and everything, and like that statue can't be that big, right? I mean, you only see statues maybe like a few stories high. But that thing, what was it, like 15 stories high or something? Man, that thing is huge. That is a cool statue. Imagine trying to get a picture there in front of that thing. Like, you'd have to have someone stand, the guy taking the picture, I mean, whoever wants their picture taken, have to stand on the top of the steps. And whoever has the camera probably has to go like 100 yards, like, towards us, as where we're at, and just take, I don't know. I don't know why I was thinking about that, but anyways, cool statue.
2 meters tall, symbolizing defiance, tradition, and the future of the country with prosperity. Yeah, it was actually built by North Korea.
Yeah, not a lot of people know. I've done this like 20 different times in 10 different African countries. Yeah, can't beat our prices.
Didn't you once like...
That's interesting.
20 different times in 10 different African countries.
Cool. Actually, I did notice that in a couple other countries they mentioned, but I guess didn't really ring a bell. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, can't beat our prices.
Didn't you once like recycle Kim Jong-il's body by just putting the head of Kabila on it for the Democratic...
You get what you pay for.
Woo woo! Next segment, go! Now, Senegal gets its name from, no surprise, the Senegal River. Historically, the rivers of Senegal were kind of seen by outsiders as like the transition zone between the Sahara and the savannas. That's why this place was so important to numerous people groups. It meant water, and with water, you have life. Motion graphic time, go! First of all, Senegal lies within 3 main ecoclimatic zones. In the very north, you have the Sahel, which is the driest and hottest part of the country, characterized by its semi-arid landscape and climate. In the middle and largest part of the nation, you have the Sudanian savanna, which includes wide expanses of grasslands and trees. And finally, in the most southern part of the country, you have the Guinea lowlands, characterized by more lush tropical greenery, as well as flora and fauna diversity. The country is relatively flat all around. I mean, the highest point doesn't even have a name. It's just a random hill near Nependiaka at about 648 meters. The reason being because Senegal sits on the basins of 4 main rivers: the Casamance in the south, the Gambia River, which of course is cut off at the coast by the country of the Gambia, the Saloum River in the center, and of course the Senegal River, the largest and longest in the country. The funny thing is, the mighty river flows into the Atlantic but does not break off into a fan tributary. It's actually blocked by the Barbary Split, a long sandbar beach extending to Mauritania that almost completely shields the river from exiting into the ocean and only opens up at one main breakaway near the town of Tassinere. From there, the country only has a few small natural lakes and ponds. They even have a cool pink lake called Lake Retba or Lake Rose. The largest lake, though, would be Lac Guiers. This is also the largest freshwater source of the country, and numerous pipes go from here.
Lake Rouge. Wow. Do people go swimming in that? Like, is that a thing, or is it like not? You shouldn't go swimming in it, or it's just not made for swimming? Like, there's no beaches on it or anything. Just curious. That'd be interesting. You go, a bunch of pictures like in a pink lake. Cool stuff.
Here to nourish the capital, Dakar. And finally, as the country is situated right at the confluence of the deserts and forests, the country has been dealing with desertification for decades. Many people have lost farmlands in the north due to less and less rainfall annually. Every year during the dry season, between December and April, a large, hot, dry dust wind, known as the Harmattan, pummels the north side of the country with powerful dust storms, which are a factor in destroying the arable land. To combat this, Senegal has teamed up with 10 other African states to initiate the first phases of the Green Wall Project, a natural barrier of trees 9 miles wide, extending over 4,300 miles from coast to coast, starting in Senegal, ending in Djibouti, to combat the encroaching Saharan desert from spreading. Yeah, the Green Wall, that is the biggest project that the country plans to embark upon. Keith wanted more screen time, so here's a little skit he wrote to portray the situation.
Ooh, I'm the desert sands. Ooh, I'm gonna deforest you. Ooh, it's a plant. Looks like I better go home now. Stop deforestation. Woo!
All right, and with that, it's time for my triple shot espresso break, which means Noah comes in.
I definitely have to pause it for that. That is cool. And get all those countries together. You have like a big long strip, of trees to fight off the desert. That's cool. I wonder how long that'll take. I mean, it's going to take a while for those trees to grow, right? It's not like you can just plant. Well, you can plant trees, but they're not going to be that big, right? Anyway, I don't know. Anyways, it's cool.
In for the next segment. Noah, take it away.
All right, let's hold on a second. I think he pushed a button or something, Paul. Something doesn't seem quite right here. Don't worry, I can fix it. It's time to learn geography now. All right, let's roll, shall we? Okay. So in Senegal, you have a place where dry meets wet. You have arid savannas with powerful rivers that cut through them. This means not only do they have a thriving fishing industry, but about 20% of their land is arable and about 3/4 of the population is involved in the agriculture industry. In a country with mostly semi-arid land, you would think, what would they grow? Well, in colonial times, it kind of went like this.
All right, Senegal, we need a cash crop. Your land is pretty dry.
What should I grow?
Peanuts! Yeah, there's no punchline to this.
That was the skit.
That's it. At least Tarchin's in this skit, so.
Yeah, anyway, that's how Senegal became the 10th largest producer of peanuts in the world. What's even more interesting, even with the desertification, they still managed to have an average 7% industrial production growth rate in the past few years. This is partially in thanks to the Emergency Senegal Plan, or ESP, announced in 2012, partially funded by the IMF. That kind of sounds like Impossible Mission Force or Mission Impossible. I think I watched too many movies. Anyway. Otherwise, another stream of revenue comes from the booming tourism industry, especially amongst francophone visitors from Europe or the Americas. What do they come to see? Well, the cities and beaches, of course, are top destinations, but also some come for the various nature reserves speckled throughout the interior. They have some really cool sights. I mean, look at this waterfall. Of course, within these reserves, you find animals. And with that, here's our animal correspondent, Gary Harlow.
This this is my mate Luna, fender in the trash. For Senegal, much of the natural wildlife has been pushed out of the western parts of the country due to human development. Nonetheless, the country still has almost 190 mammal species and over 670 bird species. The highest concentration of wildlife can be found in the Nicolo Kobold National Park. Here, the land is much more lush with woodland savanna species like cheetahs, antelopes, elephants, and the national animal, the lion. Around riverbeds, crocodiles. Dials that are crocked down, and the swans.
Dials that are cropped down.
And hippos are quite common sights to see, as well as migratory birds like black-crowned cranes, Abyssinian hornbills, and martial eagles. Fun fact, because facts are fun, Senegal has the huge national bird sanctuary, a haven for even more exotic species like the African spoonbill, purple heron, white pelican, and cormorant. Right, that's all for me, Gary Harlow.
Thanks, Gary, or should I say, Caleb. You guys look strikingly familiar. All right, and with that, it's time to end off this segment as we always do.
Food.
Are you ready for it? Food! Fish is a huge part of their diet. In fact, they love seafood so much they made an entire island of seashells. Even the buildings have seashells in the bricks. Otherwise, some top dishes you guys, the Senegalese geography suggest to be mentioned include...
How long did they do that? To do that? Or it's probably like one of those things where there's the cement mix, you just have a whole bunch of shells like piled up over here, you just kind of like, shovel in the shells in the mix, right? Or they either, I don't know, built it and then put all the shells outside. I don't know. Anyways, yeah.
Yassa, mafe, stuffed perch, sweet millet pudding, basi salté, supu kanja, nems spring rolls, national dish chebujin or chebuyup, otherwise known as jollof rice. The Senegalese usually eat theirs with fish, but other meats can be used. This dish is popular amongst pretty much all West African countries, and they all have their own version of it. It's kind of like...
No, my jollof is better.
Mine is so much better.
Mine's better!
No, mine's better.
You all, mine's better.
Please, I invented this dish.
Yeah, it's called jollof rice. It's in the name. The Jollof Kingdom originated in Senegal. Speaking of origins, the people have quite a fascinating story, which brings us to...
Thank you, Noah. You're getting better at those special effects. Anyway, I asked you guys, the Senegalese geography peeps, to explain what it means to be Senegalese. And here are some of the things you guys said.
Senegalese people all have this kind of common sense of hospitality, which we call teranga. And I believe that what differentiates Senegalese people from other Africans is that sense of tolerance and discipline that we have. It's commonplace here for Muslims and Christians, although the country is majority Muslim, to show practices of good practice and tolerance and religious tolerance, as Senegal is one of the few African countries which has never had a coup d'etat.
We had the chance to actually be, when the French was around, be really educated. We speak a French that are really looking like the metropolitan French. It also means that we were the one witnessing a lot of the harsh past of Africa, because we have this island called Korea where most of the people that got deported departed from. It means that we are the last anchorage of those people to their roots.
We created like a mosaic of our culture. Like,
you guys get a lot of tourism on that island. I'd imagine so. People just kind of want to check out, just what happened back in the days, and they just kind of probably want to just walk around. Like, there's a lot of this stuff there kind of kept. I don't know, like the fortresses or whatever they have back there, is all that like still intact over there, or is it almost basically modernized there, But people are very nice, and they're able to it doesn't matter what religion that the people are in on, they all get together, and everyone gets well, and no one's afraid. Maybe Saudi Arabia can take a couple notes here, Don't hurt me for saying that. I'm just saying, Anyways.
we created like a mosaic of our culture. Like, people between each other learn each other's language, mix up together. We don't stay like in communities. We really like mix with each other. That's what makes us different than the other countries.
We are a patchwork of different tribes and different cultures, which means different languages, different lifestyles. So that means being curious and not being afraid to discover other tribes or other cultures within Africa. And also not being afraid to mix modernity and traditionalism.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah, the graph thing. Let's do it. First of all, the country has about 16 million people and is made up of about 20 ethnic people groups that speak about 40 different languages. Of these people groups, the ones that have the highest populations would be the Wolof at about 41%. Next are the Fula or Peul at about 18%, followed by the Serer people at about 16%. From there, 14% are Mandinka, and the remaining 11% belong to other people groups, mostly native African peoples. But keep in mind, about 2% are European/Lebanese and a few Asian minorities, mostly Vietnamese. They use the West African CFA franc as their currency. They use the types C, D, E, and F plug outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road. French is the official language. However, the Wolof language is actually the lingua franca used by more people across the entire country, even if they're not part of the Wolof ethnic group. Now let's kind of jump into the concept of what being Senegalese entails. Well, for one, you have to understand two things: religion and ethnic group. About 95% of the country is Muslim, and the rest are mostly Christians. There's also some animists in there. However, Senegal lives by the La Laïcité, or secular law system, which allows and encourages interfaith camaraderie. Like, for real, the first president was actually a Christian, one of the minorities, and they even like celebrate each other's holidays. Like, it's cool. Like, they get along. However,
Wow.
of course, when your country is 95% Muslim, Islam plays a huge role, and like most of North Africa, it falls within the Sunni Maliki school of thought with Sufi influences divided into 4 tariqa or brotherhoods. That's a whole other thing to explain. But basically, Senegal has one of the largest religious pilgrimages on earth, the Grand Magal. It takes place at the Mosque of Touba to celebrate the teachings of Sheikh Amadou Bamba. You'll see his picture everywhere. Moving on. Today, the Senegalese are all just Senegalese. However, many people still hold ties to their heretical social status, whether it was rooted in nobility to a former kingdom or servitude to said kingdom. Long story short, the Wolof and the Serer people had the most influential kingdoms, and today many communal chiefs in villages can trace their lineage back to one of these royal households. You have things like the Jolof kingdom that ended in 1890. It had like a spin-off called the Kayor kingdom. For the Serer people, you had like the Walo kingdom, which had that badass queen. There was the Saloum dynasty, the Sine dynasty. We could go on and on. Explaining Senegalese royalty is like calculus on crack. In any case, today everybody is a citizen in a republic. With that being said though, each ethnic group has their own unique quality. I'm gonna try to summarize it based off of what I've learned from you guys. Long story short, the Wolof, the largest group, they're kind of like the head honchos. They do the most business and industry. The Wolof are known for having some of the fastest drums and dancing in all of Africa. Really cool celebrations and art. The Serer and Fula people are basically cousins. The only difference is that the Serer kind of decided to move along the coasts and they worked a little bit more with the Wolof people, whereas the Fula are kind of like semi-nomadic herdsmen in the interior of the country. I was told there's kind of like an inside joke when a Serer person meets a Fula. It kind of goes like this. Hey, what ethnic group are you from?
I'm Fula. What are you?
I'm Serer.
You're my servant! Ah!
Then you have other people groups like the Mandinka. We talked about them in the Mali episode. They're also renowned for having that very important cloth. What's it called? Seoru Rabal. Like, they wrap their babies in it. They have marriages under it. They wrap their dead in it. This cloth is everywhere. You have the Soninke people, whom are like the descendants of the former Ghana Empire.
Wow.
So their lineage goes way back. The Lebu are most...
It's like a security blanket, you just kind of have it wherever you go, you know what I mean? Good luck or something. Interesting. Now, like, does every family have their own, or does every person have their own, that they kind of get it at birth and they just kind of hold on to it, or can you like switch them out? That's interesting.
Are like the descendants of the former Ghana Empire, so their lineage goes way back. The Lebu are mostly fishermen and like wealthy landowners, and also they're kind of like the cousins of the people in Cape Verde. The Basari are kind of like the ancient people that live in the rocky highlands of the Futa Jalon area. The Diola or Jola people are like the southerners. They have good cooking and they get along with people in the Gambia. Then you have the Casamance people. They have a higher population of Christians and animists, and they are home to Senegal's only internal conflict zone. They have a lingering independence movement that's been been going on since the 80s. And those are like the largest people groups. There's a lot more, but yeah, time is of the essence. Another Senegal side note though, aside from maybe the Nilotic peoples of East Africa and some Melanesian / Austronesian people groups, Senegal is known for having some of the darkest skin tone complexions on earth. And there's actually kind of like a dark revolution going on to combat the skin bleaching industry, and it's really cool. Models like Kouria Diop, known as the Melanin Goddess, have come into the spotlight, shattering the industry standards, encouraging little girls to do so likewise. That's pretty cool. We need more people like that. I mean, I got Korean heritage. I've noticed Koreans kind of do that a lot. They like bleach the crap out of their skin. Like every K-pop star does it. Why do people do that? Like, you look like a ghost on crack. Like, stop doing that. Sorry, I'm a little riled up. I know I'm not supposed to do that on this show, but
I agree though, man. Like, just be proud of who you are. Or like what nationality you are, who you're from, and what race you are, man. Just be proud of who you are and don't worry about, what your skin color is. Just, try to enjoy life. It's kind of crazy how, everyone, I don't know. They think too much about it, so instead of just, worrying about other things that are more important.
I mean, geez, like a ghost on crack. Like, stop doing that. Sorry, I'm a little riled up. I know I'm not supposed to do that on this show, but I mean, geez, come on, man. Skin bleaching. Come on. Anyway, Senegal was and still is a front runner in the revival of the Pan-Africanist movement. They hosted the Festival of Negro Arts. I feel really uncomfortable saying that word. That's what it's called. I know my Latino subscribers are probably like, ¿Cuál es tu problema? Solo es una palabra, negro. But like, it's not the same thing when you say it in English. Anyway, it was established in 1966.
It is true though, like, when you just, like, any kind of N-word, like, I don't say it at all. Like, I'll say the N-word if someone's gonna, even though there's a couple different ones of that, but, it's like, it just feels weird and funny, like, like, I'm gonna get like crucified or something if I say it. So it's kind of funny. I'm sure other people can kind of kind of know what I'm talking about, maybe with other words or whatnot. But it's definitely it's kind of funny how just how sensitive we are about what saying certain words.
Negro. But like, it's not the same thing when you say it in English. Anyway, it was established in 1966 in Dakar with the intention of reorienting black people back to their African roots and traditions. This was what would inevitably precede numerous Pan-Africanist establishments and buildings like these. And from there, the prestige of Senegal started to kind of grow in every field of social status, including one of the most well-known fields, athletics. And with that, we're gonna try a new segment called The Sport Part with Art. Here we go.
Oh, the sport part. Speaking of sports, I just finished watching England beating Germany. Go England! And I just found out like a couple weeks ago through my ancestor DNA test that I'm like 60% English. Woo, go me! And also just finished watching, I think, Ukraine beat Sweden. So good job, Ukraine. But yeah, since we brought up sports, I figured I'd say that.
If you spin it more than 3 times, that's playing with it.
He's back, guys.
Athletics are very important to the Senegalese people, and they have one of the most active national sports scenes in all of Africa. In 2002, they even made a national holiday after they beat France at the World Cup, which was their first appearance. And since then, they are actually only one of 3 African teams to ever reach the quarterfinals at the FIFA World Cup. They've also hosted the All Africa Cup in 1992, and many players from Senegal have gone on to be drafted onto other teams across the world. The most famous player that's probably...
What the
I just wanted to ruin a take.
Yeah, you ruined it. Yeah. The most famous player that ever came out of Senegal is probably Sadio Mane. He also won the title of African Footballer of the Year in 2019. He's a big deal. Alright guys, I need to put him down for a second. 1 second. Tartan, go down. The most well-known and respected sport, though, would have to be the traditional Senegalese style of wrestling, or wrestling with hitting. As in, yes, you are allowed to hit each other. Wha-bam! I bet people, so it's like MMA.
Yeah, it's kind of like MMA.
Yeah. The objective is to have the opponent's knees, shoulder, or back touch the sand, or push them out of a given area. What started as a traditional folk pastime has now gained international recognition as massive crowds from all over the world come to witness these events. And finally, Senegal is set to host the Youth Summer Olympics 2022. So if you want to go watch some kindergartners go run around a track and fall over each other and puke on each other and do all that some fun stuff, you should do that.
Yeah, prepubescent kids, that's fun to watch.
That sounded wrong.
Yeah. You can't believe I said that.
Blacklisted.
Thank you, Art. And I guess now that means we can move on to culture stuff with Random Hannah.
Oh my god.
Hannah head spinning in. Okay. It is said that the Senegalese have a sense of tiasan. Like many other Saharan and Sahelian people groups, much of the backstory is rooted in oral tradition and iconographic and often surreal imagery. Custom-wise, polygamy has been practiced for thousands of years. Today, most polygamous unions follow Islamic law, and about a quarter of the population are in polygamous relationships. It is not uncommon to see cola nuts used as a gift from the groom to the woman's family to assist marriage proposals. In rural, that's the worst word ever. We need a teleprompter, guys. Okay.
You're doing good, Hannah.
Thank you. In rural areas, it is common to see the traditional living compounds made of clustered huts, made of mud and thatched roofs. In more contemporary times, the country pioneered the world-renowned literary genre of the 30s and 40s. It was a literary theory and movement that sought to cultivate and raise Black consciousness across Africa and its diaspora. One of the founders of the movement was Senegal's first president. Senegal was also the choice of location for many French films during colonial times. It is often claimed that the film The Wagoner, made in 1963, is the first film ever made in Africa by a Black African, by writer Ousmane Sembène, who is often considered the greatest Senegalese director of all time. This boost in film prestige was also a factor that played in the well-known fashion industry of Senegal. It is often said that Dakar is like the Paris of Africa, taking many cues from the former colonials' culture of ostentation. Dakar Fashion Week is one of the most highly regarded fashion events, not only in Africa, but the world, where designers display some of the best attire that often blends traditional embroidery with Afrofuturism. Popular fabrics like bazine, waxcloth, tioop, and khartoum are used in traditional gowns like boubous for both men and women. Otherwise, Senegal has a bunch of celebrations. You have the Tajabon, which is celebrated on Ashura. You have the Sim Parade, where people dress up like lions. For the Christian community, Christmas and Good Friday are a big deal. And finally, National Independence Day is April 4th. Festivals with lots of music. Now it's Keith's segment. Good luck, guys.
Just for the, whole suey and whatever bunch of nonsense, Arsis is a really great band. The guitar player is a good friend of mine. That's my commentary. Fair use, don't sue. Traditionally, Senegal had much of their music inspired by the empires such as the Mali Empire, the Ghana Empire, and so on. Like we had discussed in previous episodes, Senegal comes from a strong griot culture. What are griots, you might ask? They're basically performers / storytellers that would travel around in the desert telling stories and usually bringing particular drums with them. Many of them have kept the ancient arts alive and many of them became famous. Like these awesome people. Otherwise, from the 20th century on, there's been lots of contemporary music. There's been lots of jazz, Afro pop, Afro beat, you name it. I'm sure there's even some metal bands that even exist within the country itself. However, the one musical style that Senegal would be known for is Mbala. Sounds kind of like reggaeton, but like French and African, mixed. It's basically rooted in the traditional music of the Serer people. It even comes with its own dance, which is characterized by eccentric, fast-paced, sometimes sexually suggestive dance moves like the dog or the electric fan. Apparently, the electric fan is when you, shake your butt in, a circular motion like a fan, so that's kind of cool. So basically, the Senegalese people like to dance fast. Music is good.
Thank you, Keith. And now, rapid fire, here is the very condensed history segment of the country. In the quickest way I can condense it. Neolithic Senegambia period, Ghana Empire, migration of Wolof, Serer, and other people groups, Berber Almoravids come in and introduce Islam, Arab slave trade, Mali Empire, Songhai Empire. This Portuguese guy becomes the first European to document landing in the Senegal River. The Dutch take over Gorée Island. French and British come in, take over Senegal and Gambia. Atlantic slave trade, mostly to French territories in the Americas. Privilege to the 4 communes, with parliamentary seat, independence from France, quick Mali Federation that didn't work out, Portuguese military drama in Guinea-Bissau in the 70s, 1981 first peaceful transition of elected officials, Senegambia Union for 7 years, Casamance drama, tourism starts and gradually kicks off with more infrastructure investment, and here we are today. Some of the top notable famous Senegalese people across the world that you guys suggested I mention in this episode include Alboury Ndiaye, king of the Jollof Empire, Latir Ngoné, Latir Diop, king of the Cairo Kingdom, Queen Fatim Yamar, Bouraye Ade Mbodj, and these two princesses, Mame Diarra Bousso, Youssou N'Dour, Baba Mal, Kumbagalo Sek, Akon, Gabrielle Sidibe, Issa Rae, Estelle Singer, Anna Diop, Mariam Baba, Jibril Diop Mambedi, Sheikh Anta Diop, and Alhaji Diouf. Whew, yeah, so many cool Senegalese people. They've made a mark on the world, and that's a great way to move on to the last segment of this episode, the Now, when you're a francophone nation, you have access to literally every continental region on Earth. And Senegal, being one of the frontrunners of francophone Africa, kind of uses that to their advantage. First of all, for one, Vietnam has close ties as there is a small Vietnamese community brought in after the Vietnam War, as both were former French colonies. This is why you see some of the influence in foods like nem spring rolls, which are a popular dish. Later in the 90s, more came during the UN's Agricultural Project Initiative, and they can mostly be found in Dakar. In addition, Lebanon has close ties, as many Lebanese people immigrated in the early 19th century when France occupied Lebanon. They make the majority of the Shiite community, and it's also why shawarma is a popular dish. With France, of course, slavery times caused problems in the past, but even amidst the harsh times, Senegal was still kind of favored. And to this day, France still kind of has a soft spot for Senegal.
Aww.
Back in the day, St. Louis was actually the capital of French West Africa, and anybody born in Dakar, Gorée, Rufisque, and St. Louis were automatically French citizens. The two governments get along very well today, but of course, the Senegalese citizens never forget the damage of the past, but they don't dwell on it either and move forward. Back to Africa though, one of their close friends would be Guinea. They kind of set the example of the fight towards independence, and their leader even led them to becoming the first independent nation out of West African French colonies. Senegal contributes a lot to their economy by importing goods from them. Also, there was a large group of Guinean immigrants in Senegal, and the people from the two nations often get married. Mali, of course, is a close friend to Senegal as well, as Senegal kind of gives them access to the ocean, especially on the autonomous port of Dakar, and Mali gives them resources from the inland areas. And of course, historically, they've shared a lot, as they were both parts of various empires like the Songhai and Mali empires. For their best friends, however, many of you guys, the Senegalese geography peeps, have told me it would probably be the Gambia. They are literally the same people. The only difference is that one was colonized by the UK, and the other...
I was gonna say, like, I was thinking, like, in my head, like, it's gotta be like, Pac-Man's mouth over here. I mean, like, because when you look at it, okay, you think, okay, that's just a water lane, but like, no, that a country goes there, and where the mouth is like, that's, come on, they're surrounding them. It's got to be the best friend, right? And it is.
Other was colonized by France. They both speak Wolof and other languages common in both countries. They both have the same cultural references, eat the same foods, dress the same, and when a Gambian and Senegalese person meet abroad, they just have an instant connection and get each other. In conclusion, the people of Senegal are quite special because they're kind of like the descendants of the kingdoms that connected and shared the mysteries of the interior deserts of Africa to the outside world. Stay tuned, Serbia is coming up next.
Serbia! Well, there you have it, Senegal. Wow. So definitely a lot of rich history. Seems like every country is just very interesting in their own way. But you guys, definitely an awesome country, and seem like things are prospering pretty well there. I'm sure you guys got, like you said, they talked about tourism. I'm sure you guys probably got like a lot of condos along the beach, because now from what I've seen, the beaches look really nice, and probably a couple of notable sites there, obviously, to really go check out. So anyways, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button below. I'd really appreciate it, and I hope you continue the journey, of course, through every country in the world. I mean, this list is coming. I think we have like 10 episodes left of geography now, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do. But anyways, guys, please hit the like and subscribe. Catch you guys in future videos. Always a good time. And anyways, yeah, peace.